Hello everyone, and welcome to the first Sadurdays episode to take place in my new place. Yay! Well, today's episode is probably going to be a bit shorter for you, both for reasons of film space and as much as, well, I was looking for a bunch of short stories and, boy, they weren't kidding. These are like 1 minute, 2 minute reads here. So, for those who think my content is normally too long, hopefully this video will give you an idea what I'm about, you know, without having to sit for long periods of time at the, well, obviously least popular of the three series that I can think of that I've made. Anywho, so what I decided to do to kind of get through get through it enough to get at least a good 10 minutes out of this is I also wrote a letter of sorts, you know, that I never actually sent to anyone, but could kind of give people an idea that, you know, we as humans are imperfect ourselves, but we learn, we grow, we reflect, we realize we weren't the people we hoped we would have been in the past, and moving forward we try to be better. On top of that, I went to a funeral the other day, and it was for well, the other day as of filming this, which was, if I'm being honest and kind of ruining the magic here, days before this ever went live. And yeah, this guy's dad died, and there were regrets involving, you know, he could have said more about this or that or the other thing, but honestly, I thought he did really well with what he was able to get out up there, and he seemed to know what he was talking about, so without knowing what his personal life script was, I couldn't say what he should have done or shouldn't have done, and neither could anyone else. The fact of the matter is, it came from the heart and the intent was there. I think that matters more than necessarily the words, ironic coming from me. Oh yeah, and that is kind of why I made that letter that you'll see at the end of this, towards the end of this video, as my own personal contribution to the episode. With that, let's get started. Our first story tonight is called Focus on the Color by Escape Roll. And these stories, other than the one I custom made, come to us from comaful.com under the social media category, because this is social media week for us. It's called Distorted Youth versus Distorted Youth. Blood-tinted lips, pale powdered cheeks, lavender stains under glittery eyes, shy tears soaking faces, cigarette smoke absorbed by hair, empty bottles made of glass, left overnight on the nightstand. Youthful moments frozen by cameras, showcased on an abstract golden web. Shining cold kids praised and worshipped, but their soft-spoken words are not okay. And that was Focus on the Color. Final thoughts? Very brief, very poetic. I like it. The next story is called Emoji Nation. We used emotions, the internet took over. We use emojis. Frowns behind our smiles. We text lies through our phones. Emojis are life. No more little talks. Why, when there's the internet? Now it's all touch screens. Social media always at our fingertips. Society fails. And again, that was a really brief story. Final thoughts? good. It's very good. It says an interesting message, and it's quick and to the point. I can't really say much more about that. And then we have Existing Among the Living. Existing Among the Living by Lost in My Dreams. Life is worth living. Life is worth living. I simply don't know how to make my life worth living. You should enjoy life. Laugh, live, love. Laugh, live, love. How? Everywhere there are people who are beautiful, so sexy, so smart, so talented, so accomplished, and so confident. I struggle with finding enjoyment in life. Every aspect of life is a competition. I relate to that. I hate competition. I constantly step away from social media because I'm consumed with jealousy. Jealousy of my friends and family who are appearing to enjoy life. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Who knows? What I do know is I become depressed and jealous when I see their photos and videos. Look how beautiful her hair still is. I wish I wasn't losing my hair. She's thin and extremely beautiful. Why am I so overweight? Why am I not beautiful? Since suicide is not an option, I will wake up and exist each day. My life isn't worth living, therefore I'm just existing. And that was Existing Amongst the Living. Final thoughts? Wow, that one was really, really deep, and I think can relate to a lot of people in many aspects of life, you know? Even if you're at the top of the social strata, there's a lot of pressure to stay there, you know? And to not falter in one's single-minded pursuits. And now we have Social Static, Chapter 1.1. Goodbye, I whispered to myself as I lifted my foot to walk off. A subtle noise distracted me. I turned around and saw my phone buzzing. I swore I silenced it, but oh well. I waited for it to stop before continuing. I then turned back around out at the city. Let's try this again. I took a deep breath and decided to jump off instead of falling. I bent my knees and stared down at the ground below. Goodbye, and I really mean it this time. I pushed up off my feet just as I heard the buzz once more. It startled me and I ended up slipping off the railing, each leg falling on separate sides. Oh my... I hugged the railing before trying to gently lower myself back onto the balcony. As much as I wanted this to happen, I don't want to be in pain before it does. I hobbled over to my phone to see who caused my dilemma. It was a message on InstaFam, not something I usually get. Mike Howard said, "Hey, my name's Mike. I know you don't really know me, but I'd like you to..." It was short and simple, but something about it was extremely comforting. I stared at the message for about a minute or two before deciding to respond. "Hey Mike, I'm Oliver. Nice of you to message me and all, but I really won't be able to do much responding." Mike Howard said, "Lol, what do you mean?" Oliver said, "I gotta go." I placed my phone down and went to walk over to the balcony, still limping a tad. Just as I reached the window, my phone went off again. I didn't want to look at the message, but that's the thing about phones, it's too tempting not to. Mike Howard said, "No, wait, please don't go. I really want to talk to you. You seem like a really cool person." Oliver said, "You're probably the only one who thinks that. Trust me." Mike Howard said, "Doubtful. Everyone thinks that about themselves, and even if I am..." If I am, so what? One person is better than none. I don't mean to be super negative or anything, but I'm a complete boring nobody, so trust me, you don't want to waste your time talking to me. Like I said, I can waste my time however I want to. That didn't come out right. I'm not wasting my time talking to you. Give me a chance. Frowny face. Oliver said, as appealing as that sounds, I'm sorry, but I can't. I gotta go. Before I was even able to shut my phone off, he had responded. Picard said, why? Oliver said, why what? Picard said, why can't you talk to me? Why do you have to go so badly? Oliver said, it's not important why, I just do. Picard said, please tell me. I don't know what it was, but something made me want to trust him. I want to just open up to him. I want to vent to him about my life and tell him everything. Everything about how they make me feel, how they make me hurt both inside and outside. My thoughts were interrupted by another buzz from my phone. Picard said, I can't expect you to open up to me. I understand that, but if there's something going on, I may be able to help in some way. I want to help. Please. And that was the 1.1 of Social Static. Final thoughts? Very good. You know, the timing of how things were paced, from what I could tell, were good. The use of social media was done to great effect. And now we move on to simple early memories. I'm playing barefoot in this colorful streets. All my friends are shades of brown, and their eyes are glimmering. Our energy is loud, and so is the smell of innocence. I want the clock's hand in a spider web. My eyes shut and suddenly I've aged. Now I count the real ones with my hands. We grow apart and the advice starts. Make sure to look at both sides. You came alone and alone you die. There is this fight called life. You want to make it out before it's done. I want to put my print in the soil and become a royal. The end. Alright, and that was Simple Early Memories. Final thoughts? Very poetic, very good. I like how they used a lot of pictures with this one, although a bit outside the scope of what this series is about. It very much is interesting how the words accompany the images that way and really paint us a picture of what's going on in more ways than one. And then we have pixelated window scattering. Pixelated window scattering the black walls. Pixels. We see a picture of a TV. Love. Accompanied by a picture of someone on social media on a phone. Laugh. Succeed. I reach out to the screen static, yearning for a taste of the rotten honey lives of their infinite soap operas. A desolate room brimming with emptiness. Heavy and fierce fragility. The gloom swallowing the screen. That swallows my stare. A black inescapable kingdom. Of a lonely queen, a prisoner free. In the hurricane arms of a world that won't pause to consider. This small being. Pixels. Living. Laughing. Succeeding in a never-ending reality show, and I'm here. Watching from the shadows of a desolate room brimming with emptiness. Yearning to pull the plug and watching as their faces flicker to oblivion. And surrender to the customary comfort of the shadows. As I surrender to oblivion. But hands reach past a web of escapisms and lies and Instagram likes, and open a curtain, and behind the glass is the promise of their open palms, waiting for me to step over the threshold into a world of welcome. Wow, that was really good. I mean, well articulated, not overly depending on use of images, and yet the ones it does use serve it well. Then we have Serendipity. VHS. I lean forward and close my eyes. I wish to be somewhere in paradise. I fall backwards and trust your arms. I've never felt so alive. My memory is flashing like a broken film. I feel every movement like a VHS on repeat. I never shed tears from a laugh. My heart wants to come out. I don't want to go down. Take care of me. Don't let me go too deep. Keep awakening every single feeling. I touch you vividly. I hear you seeing me. Is this serendipity? Alright. And that was serendipity. Final thoughts? Pretty much what it says. And for our last story before we get to that open letter I'd made. Social media has become something of a depressive drug to me. One minute I'm thriving off it, all the attention, the validation, the joy of being noticed by so many people flocking around me as if I'm the most important person they ever met. And then the next. It's mind-numbingly quick to make me feel like I'm the loneliest person in the world. Most of the time I'd find myself just breezing through it aimlessly, scrolling and tapping and liking and sharing. Most of the time it feels good. Well, not air quotes good. Air quotes okay, maybe. Like something to calm the antsy, restless hum of boredom that keeps gnawing at the back of my mind. It's enough to fill my empty spaces up, and I'd feel like I belong almost. Like I'm part of the same group everyone else is in. It feels great. It feels amazing. But then sometimes I'd see someone's post a trip they just went on, or a bar they just partied at, or an event they just attended with all their friends. And that brief feeling of belongingness washes away completely. And all that's left is the nagging, searing, annoying question in my brain yelling, and what about you? Because I was never the person someone would willingly go to. Because I never had anyone that called me their best friend. Because I myself never had a best friend. And it's always been like that. It's always been just me and a bunch of people I stay with, but never really feel at ease with. I'm used to it by now. I'm supposed to be used to it by now. But sometimes it's just lonely, you know? It's only watching people have fun with one another through nothing but a screen. It's only seeing everyone seeming to have found a place where they belong while I'm still trying to know where to put my feet on the ground. It's lonely looking at everyone being so at home with people they genuinely choose to be around. And I don't know if anyone else feels like this. This perpetual state of unbelongingness. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only person in the world that feels it. I hope I am. God, I really hope I am. And that was... social media has become something, you know? And... final thoughts? Yeah. Very much the raw thoughts and feelings of those who scroll through like a Facebook, see a bunch of people having fun. In fact, it kind of takes me to how I feel around like the December months, you know. I'll see these families, you know, discussing, oh man, we're gonna go see grandma this year, or, you know, oh, remember the time, and you know, it just seems like everyone's having a good time. I'm just wandering the shadows and thinking to myself, those poor fools, when reality hits them that we don't live forever. And other times, I kind of miss the feeling like I belong somewhere. But, like all things, time heals it, and I become more comfortable in the isolation at times. And that was the saddest social media stories list. Hope you all enjoyed that, and with that, we're gonna come to the grand finale of this video. I called it Letter to Self. I know, how original, but you know, this is something I'll just say an advisor suggested I do to help get to the root of things. And so it goes like this. Wow, almost 33 years of life and look at you. Moved out of your parents' place, albeit with some roommates and ready to take on the world, eh? Yeah, there were disappointments along the way and setbacks, but you did it. And regrets too many to mention along the way, bridges burned and people offended by you being you. Who the hell cares? You got people who love you as you are. But for as positive as it is, as it all is, the time has come once more to reflect on how you've not been perfect either. All the times I could have done more in school, but was unmotivated, and still my parents kept paying for it until university, and all the while took my screams of anger and frustration. The times I insisted on coming out to see my mom, despite knowing she was ill able to foot the bill without help from friends. I had no job and knew nothing of what it was to earn for myself, much less have people depending on me to live. And when I did come out, I was so stuck in the past I got annoyed with my sister who depends on her instead of being grateful to have family to see it all. My mom and sister saw it all, and I don't want them to die remembering me that way. I was not much better to my dad despite it all, and his significant other, like the time I blew up on her on my birthday when she was having a dialogue about my habits at home, and all I asked was that she just stay off said topic for one day so I could enjoy it. For the record, she's still upset at me to this day for that, and I don't blame her. She'd done so much for me back then, and what was I but an ungrateful piece of fecal matter, to put it mildly. What's worse, I made fiction of people, and, albeit, I changed the names around, but they know who they are, and it's not exactly a flattering light for the ones that I changed the names. And knowing that, every time someone buys one of my first series of books, I basically profit at their expense as well as my own. And that's a weight that often weighs me down, and I feel a mix of, gratitude that people like what I write, but also I feel a bit guilty that I profit, not just from my own, makings, but what other people have done, and, in that sense. And for what it's worth, I sometimes find myself not wanting to really live knowing what kind of a legacy that is. It also makes me wonder how much of the backlash I get is deserved and how much success I deserve as well. And that's just the stuff I did in my young adult years that I can remember off the top of my head. I was much less in control as a kid. Though a lot of my misdeeds were chalked up to not having full understanding of how stuff worked, part of me really got satisfaction out of causing pain to siblings who were mean to me at the time. Because they'd been mean to me at the time. Like, not just, teasing and stuff. We're talking... This was a time when, a sibling could strike you and they'd call it sibling rivalry. Even though they're significantly older than you, and what other way could you get back at them except by hurting things that are precious to them? For that, I hate myself, and I hope, despite everything, no one has to remember that side of me. That amid the frustrations, I could be a monster like that. I further hope any innocent beings that I, as a kid, ended up hurting in some way, whether it led to their death or not, Or whether it just, caused them distress. And because of how much older I am and how things only last certain years, regardless of what you do, I hope they can find peace wherever the consciousness goes when one's time expires. And if there's anything I may have forgotten to include here. My apologies. My mind may well have repressed it or forgotten it, and probably for good reason. When I was a kid, the problem with my neurodivergence is I couldn't really see things from other people's point of view as well as I can now. And I feel in that way, it was detrimental to everyone involved. And I wish I could take back everything I've done. But for what it's worth, at least whatever I did do didn't land me in jail or in a permanent mental hospital, and I do have a future worth striving for, even if it won't even if my actions to make recompense to those I've hurt may not undo what's been done. At the very least, my life isn't over, so there's still a chance that I can make good memories, even for those I've hurt over the years as well. And with that, I conclude this episode of Sadurdays, and I apologize if this last letter was a bit triggering for some people, or if maybe it's given them a more negative view of the kind of person I am, or was at one time. And whatever you decide to do from here on out, I wouldn't worry about, being the cause of any distress on my part. I was the one that published the works. I was the one that did this, that, or the other thing. You like what you like, and you have every right to like what you like, and you have every right to dislike what you dislike. At no point is this a video to discourage you from any sort of support you want to give about anything. Instead, this is just me being candid about the fact that I have done things I enjoyed doing, and in the process, I've made mistakes along the way. I've done things that haven't been exactly angelic in every way. I'm not a saint. I'm a human being. I've lived, I've grown, and I continue to grow. And I hope that if you're watching this, you also seize the opportunity to grow. To know that whatever mistakes you may have made, whether or not people forgive you for them, as long as you're alive, there's still time to do something for this world, to be somebody worth being, to have your redemption arc. And that's what the upcoming mystery novel is going to be for me. I feel a lot of people misconstrued the message I was trying to put in the previous series, that as long as we hold grudges, we remain children. That was what I meant to tell with the previous series. But mayhaps I went a little too literal with it for some people's comfort in some spots. And though it is my redemption arc, I don't expect anyone who already hates me for what they think I am to stop hating me. Rather, I want those who already support me, and those who were on the fence about supporting me, to feel better about their support, knowing that, knowing what the message of all my writings is about. And so in that way, I'm redeeming myself not so much in the eyes of the haters, but redeeming myself for having not been the best writer in the past. That's all it is. With that, long goodbye. I'll see you guys next week. Or next month, whenever the next video comes out. Until then, bye-bye!